I think, really good at masking. Like I said before, even my stims, like I've just learned over the last, not even year, to start to do them in front of people. Whereas before I would just be like, or holding my skin on my leg or my hand or something that was acceptable. Like you said, like twisting your hair, clicking something, but I started to realize that there are certain stems I do that I would just do by myself. And I never realized that until my little one, he was in the car and he got excited and I started to do something very similar where I'd be like, and make a high pitched sound. I was like, oh, wow, I do this too. But I was only doing it around him.
They said that we'd grow out of it. Well, the joke's on them, that's just our brains. We're eccentric, loud, and stubborn. And most of our clothing is covered in stains. It's not a deficit of attention. There's just too much to think about. So if executive dysfunction becomes a little too much, if you forgot why you came in this room, or you're hypersensitive to touch, then put on your seamless socks and come join our little flock. Bitches stimming together, we're weirds of a feather. Weirds of a feather.
Welcome to Weirds of a Feather, an AuDHD-Adjacent podcast. I'm your host, Grace Beret.
And I'm your host, Kristin Stanhope.
And we are back.
We are back.
Judy.
The lovely Judy. If you haven't listened to part one, please do that.
What are you doing? Go back.
Yeah.
Go listen. Get her backstory. Learn about her ADHD and her autism. And then come back here to hear her fun segments, which we are about to get into now.
Judy, welcome.
Hi. All right, we do have a warm-up question.
We do have a warm-up question. You brought this up. Judy, what's your preferred hug?
Oh, okay. So my preferred hug is no hug.
Agreed.
I don't
Yeah.
love to be touched. Sometimes, and if it is, it's like probably a tight, like just hug and leave kind of thing. But
the old Temple Grandin squeeze.
Right?
Yeah.
Because that soft touch, yuck. So I think, but I'd prefer just not to be hugged. Or asked. If I see it coming or someone's asked me and I'm like, okay, I have a voice in this, then maybe.
You feel like you have some autonomy. Is that part of it, that you feel like your bodily autonomy is being threatened?
I think so. Probably some of it.
Yeah.
And then some of it is sensory. It feels very heightened. To me, I feel like when I'm hugged, it feels too intimate because
intimate.
my skin, it just feels very, very, very intimate and very too close. Especially like, I'm like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
You're
Why
trying
are
to
we
hug me.
touching bodies?
Right?
Yeah. It's weird.
Yeah,
It's
is
weird
weird
when you break it down of what it is. We're like smushing our fronts together.
Yeah. And now we smush the fronts.
The customary squishing of the fronts.
Maybe we called it
in a line.
Yeah, we call it, you want a front squish, I guess.
I bet if I said that, more people would be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah.
No. Hey, you want to smush our fronts together before you leave? Might freak people out. This might be a strategy.
There we go.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm going to use it.
Right? Is part of it also for you? Because for me, it's the social awkwardness of the hug. It's like, are we hugging? How long do we hug? How tight? Where do my arms go? Like, I don't like the unstructured nature of the hugging process. And that's part of it for me. I feel like very awkward doing it.
Hug versus handshake. When do we do which one?
Yeah.
There's no rule on that.
If you go in for the wrong one, it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, there's just too many unknowns.
I don't know. I don't want to give someone a handshake if they really need a hug.
And I definitely don't want to give someone a hug if they just want a handshake.
Yeah, exactly.
That's worse.
You're like, I got all this together just so I could hug you and you don't even want it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think, I've asked people before, do you need a hug? And then I'll be like, okay, I'm just going to suck it up. And because they look like they really need one. And I'll ask then. But yeah, no, it's a weird thing to expect to like, oh, I just met you. Or even if I known you to touch in that way.
Yeah.
I got an unsolicited hug the other day. It was awful.
I'm sorry.
They were like, I'm going to give you a hug. And I was like,
oh, that's the worst one, telling you I'm going to give you a hug. Or I'm a hugger. And they come in. I'm like, well, I'm not.
Well, I actually went the opposite way for a while. So I I never liked to be hugged. I always watched other people do it, and I thought this is what you're supposed to do. So I just hugged people. And then when I met Kirsten's family, especially her family her family in general, but in Oregon, like I thought, oh, I should be hugging people. So they ended up, I think they're not super huggers. And they were like, oh, she's a hugger. And I was like, I'm just going to hug you. But I realized, because I thought about it before, I was like, but it's still not comfortable for me. None of that is comfortable.
It's all performative.
I just thought that's what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to lean into it, literally. And it just is not, it's so uncomfortable. If someone said we're never going to hug again, I'd be like, great. I love it.
Wonderful.
My son is the only one that, and even with kids, like I get touched out from him. Sometimes I'm like, okay, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done. I don't need you to touch me
It makes
anymore.
me claustrophobic. Yeah, with kids especially.
You're like, I love you, but let's love from afar.
Yeah.
I need you over there.
Hanging on me. It's a lot. My body's not a jungle gym. Yeah. All right. That was a great warm-up. Thank you for sharing your PH, your preferred hug.
Yeah.
I'm going to start saying that. What's your pronouns and your...
Yeah. Your pronouns, your PH. Yeah, we should all put that in our bio.
Instagram bios. Yeah.
A firm pat.
Yes.
No hug. Wave from afar. Yeah. Or I love to smush fronds, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to start saying that to people. If someone says yes, then something's wrong.
Yeah. We are
if
not
they're like
compatible.
really excited about that, yeah.
I love smushing fronts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's the bee's knees.
All right. Shall we mosey on into This Is Who I Am Now?
Yeah.
This time it's different. Everything has changed.
This is who I am now.
This is who I am now.
This is who I am now.
Perfect. You nailed it.
You held that
You're
note.
natural.
Proud of you.
Natural.
Thank you for joining us. Judy, who are you now?
Oh, wow. Crafter. Like
Oh.
I'm doing embroidery and miniature things.
Oh, what are you
Yeah.
embroidering?
So I'm starting to do I haven't actually started yet. I gotta go get the supplies still, some of them, but making the little, right? Making the book corners. Like, so it's like a bookmark,
Yeah.
but it's the corner portion of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to do those.
Ooh.
So I've started getting everything together for it. And I also mini things. Like we talked about terrariums.
Yeah.
And clay things. I made little tiny clay pieces to go in it.
Ooh, I love miniature things.
That's cool.
Right?
Yeah.
I love, love, love mini things.
Yeah. Do you have the dexterity to be able to do miniature things? That's my problem.
So I hope so. But so far I've done pretty well. I have
What about the goggles, the magnifiers?
I want to get some of those. I saw them,
Christopher
but
has some.
I got one. I'm going to ask the brand. If he,
I'll take a picture of it.
That would be
Send
great.
it to you.
Because I got, what's that called? Magnifying glass that's on, a little stand with a light. It's not quite enough, but yeah, I really want to be able to do that. So, but I also use like little tiny, I've watched people like with the little forceps and the little, I guess that's the name of them, or tweezers or, so yeah, really getting all those things first. But so far, I hope so.
All right.
I've done well with, I made a little tiny snow globe.
Oh,
I made the little teeny tiny snowman that goes in it. And I just got the glycerin. I guess it's glycerin and to put with the water and glitter in it.
Oh,
I was
cool.
like,
So it'll be functional? Yeah. You'll have to take
that
a
is
picture.
really
Actually,
cool.
take a video. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to see it in action.
Okay.
That's so cute. Such a fun idea.
I love
is
stuff
a
that
really fun
moves
idea.
too. You just like,
Yes.
it's so tiny. And I'm like, I want to do books. I started to do but a lot of people just put fake things. I'm like, I need this book to where I could read it if I wanted to.
Yeah, it's got to be functional.
Right?
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
like half the fun.
Yeah. I follow a lot of miniature things on Instagram, but I love the little machines when they work, like a tiny little vacuum. I'm like,
Yes.
beside myself. It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
cute.
I watched a guy the other day. He said there's this little strip. He goes, I gotta have something to plug in it. He goes, but I got a hairdryer. We gotta
Oh my
plug it in.
God.
He goes, I bought all of them. We're gonna take them out one by one. He said, so we don't overreact. He goes, by us, I mean me.
Yeah. Yes, that's,
Everything's cuter when it's tiny.
I know.
Mhm.
Everything should be tiny.
Yeah. Grace,
Yes.
who are you now?
I am a good guy.
Yeah.
I was babysitting the other day. I babysat on Friday night for these two kids. I've talked about her before on here, Posey. I was doing house stuff for Posey for the last year, and I met her kids every time I was over there. I would kind of hang out with them sometimes. They're like 2 and 4. So I did some babysitting for them last Friday. It was really good to see them. So the 2-year-old, he was upset at first when I went to pick him up at daycare because I wasn't mom. He was crying. He would only come with me if we listened to the Imperial March on the drive home, which is Darth Vader's song.
Love him already.
Yeah, so I'm like, weird, sure. Okay, we listened to the Imperial March on the way home. We played monsters and we're running. They wore me out. I can't handle it. They wore me out. But we were running around a lot. And I guess that night, as he was going to bed, he told his dad that Grace is a good guy. Because they've been watching like a lot of Star Wars and talking about good guy and bad guy. And so I guess I'm a good guy. And I was very flattered to hear that. It like meant a lot.
That's
I'd
really
be like, quick,
cute.
tell me what he said
Yeah.
because I feel like, what's he going to
Can
say?
you elaborate?
Yeah.
Tell me how
Tell
good
me
I am.
more.
Yeah.
Yes. It's, compliments from kids are the best because they're so genuine and they don't give them out unless they mean them.
Mhm.
100%. They'll be the first one to call you out if you did.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you look weird, if you do something weird.
If they don't like you.
Yeah. So I'm a good guy and that's who I am. Kristin.
Yes.
Oh,
I am a letter of recommendation. Recommending.
Letter of recommendation writer.
Yes. Yeah, that's a better way of putting
That's
it.
a skill set.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're upsetting me with that word.
Reluctantly placed in this role, but here I am. I don't know. I just feel like within the past like couple of weeks, I've been writing a lot of like medical student evals and telling them that they did a good job and letters of recommendation, and it's exhausting because I want to.
Yeah,
I
it's
was like,
a lot.
it's so much pressure because I'm like, I gotta make it good or else they're gonna like do bad.
Yeah, like what if they don't get this job or get into
wow.
school?
Or what if
because
I
of
turn it
me?
in
Future
late?
is
Yeah,
the whole
in my
future.
hands.
The whole future is
Oh.
on you.
Yeah.
Like, and luckily they've all been like good. Like, I'm happy to recommend. Like, I haven't like come
Yeah,
into
what if
this
someone asked you,
and they were like a real piece of shit.
yeah,
I probably
would you write a bad one or would you say no?
I don't know. I've never been in.
Or would you lie?
I'm like, I don't have time. I gotta go to the bathroom now.
Yeah, I don't know. That's such a tricky situation,
Right? That's so awkward. Because like,
I feel like
What
that's
if
a
you
great poll question.
yeah.
I need help from the fans here, from the listeners.
Yeah, what would you
What
do?
would you do if someone you hated asked for a letter of recommendation? Would you
Not just
just
hated,
hated.
yeah.
If
It's
they
not
were
that you
like-
hated them, it's that they're bad at their
they
job.
were bad at their job?
You could feel maybe you hate them because they're bad at their job.
Yeah.
But whether you hate them or you're neutral, they're bad at their job. What do you do? Because, say you go the people pleaser route and you're like, whatever, I'll just lie. That could have serious repercussions,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Especially in your field. What if you recommend them and they go on to like kill someone because they're bad at their job?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hopefully they never do.
Yeah.
But
A moral
y-
conundrum.
now I'm more concerned. No. Or if like, you don't want to like make enemies because they're like, oh, that girl recommended that guy and he's a piece of
Yeah,
shit.
why would she do that?
Why would she do that?
True.
So I don't know.
I'm
I'm
stressful.
let me know.
Yeah.
What would you do? Because I need to know, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, that's the risk you run if you're a letter of recommendationer.
Yeah.
It's like people might come up to you looking for a letter.
Yeah.
You were like, it was the other Kristin. I don't
Yeah,
know who's
There's a different one.
Yeah, not me.
You think you're looking for Kirsten in cardiology?
Yeah, there you go. Problem solved.
I'm like,
Yeah.
Judy, I don't know what's happening, but everybody says
Everybody's, yeah.
Yeah, for some reason they keep coming to me. All right, shall we move into our quirks?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Judy, are you going to
Oh.
sing or are you
Oh,
going to kazoo?
sing or
I gotta
zoo?
kazoo.
All right.
Yeah, it's a big decision.
You've chosen a green kazoo. Yeah, give a little try.
Yeah.
Give a little practice.
A little practice.
Oh,
You gotta
wow.
like,
I don't know what I'm
you
doing.
have to hum. You give her. Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Oh,
go.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to like make the sound.
Ooh.
I know you're
Looks
natural.
like I have a little
Natural.
Ooh, a little
For
something
that.
new to
Yeah.
practice.
I know.
You get to
this
take that
is-
home,
Yeah, that's
so.
yours. Yeah, that's what you get for. That sounded mean.
That's what you get for coming on our podcast. We really appreciate it.
The kazoo and go.
Yeah.
It was meant to be a nice thing, but
That's what you get.
you get to take that home with you.
Yeah.
That's
I
your.
took it as a good thing.
That's your kazoo. I didn't mean that so rude, but
I did not even take that.
I the second it came out of my mouth, I was like, ugh. I don't
That's
like
what you
that.
That you have the coolest kazoo, though.
This is a gift from Christopher. Thank you very much.
It looks like a French horn.
I think that's the purpose of it, is it's supposed to look like a French horn. The kazoo part's just this little guy right here, and I think it sounds the same. I guess I can compare because I have my blue kazoo.
Nice.
Yeah, please. Compare.
All right, here's French horn kazoo. And then this is my blue kazoo.
They sounded exactly the same. Yeah.
Both at the same time.
Is that going into both of them?
I don't think my mouth's big enough.
Damn it, why aren't we taking video? This is crazy. Hold on. Do it. Hold on, do it again.
I got it.
We need this footage.
Is it coming out of both?
I don't know. I can't tell. Keep going. Yeah, I think you got it out of both. Wow, you're a professional.
Oh my God. I think I have to start playing both at the same time.
Yeah, I think you got it.
You know what I should have done? Is
Or
this would have been more
Stop.
ergonomic. Ready?
Yeah.
Why am I in that video?
I think it's just one at a time.
Yeah. I don't think you're directing the airflow into both. I don't
It's
think
very
you can.
difficult.
You got to learn how to be one of those breathers.
Like
where
what
they
do
do
you
the
put one on
chanting.
top of the? Yeah.
Oh,
can
I
we
could do like a yeah.
stack.
Yeah,
Stack,
stack
kazoo
it.
stack.
Yep, you got it.
I still don't
I
think
can't
it's
tell. I don't know. I think we would need another kazoo at a different tone. To be able to tell, you know?
I need a third kazoo.
Anyways,
Anyway.
let's get into that song. We're like, all right, we'll keep this one quick.
Okay.
Now you're fucking comparing
all
kazoo
business.
heads.
Yeah, all
Yeah.
This is the business podcast.
Stay on message. Yeah, very serious, very structured.
Oh man. All right.
Some people call me Stacy, some people call me Fun, but I'm just quirky. You're
Perfect. Yeah,
you're a
natural.
natural at the zoo.
You got a new talent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like come back and be like, I'm in like competition
Yeah.
for kazooing, and I'm
I would love
competitions.
that, honestly. There have to be. I mean, there's
She's the best
hobby
in
horsing.
the Northeast.
Yeah. Best lips in the West. All right, Judy, you have been writing down some quirks unbeknownst to you. You've been keeping track of some
You've been
quirks.
telling us quirks all day.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So what ones do I have now?
We would love to hear your 3 quirks.
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I said a lot of them before. So did I say the last one about, so I have to keep going one direction if I go? If I'm going downstairs and I'm supposed to grab something, I see it needs to go downstairs. I can't grab it because in my head I've made a plan. So I just have to keep going the direction I'm going and then I can come back up. Another one is so at night we have a gas stove and a stovetop. So if one of them is open, because we have like child safety things on all of them, if one of them's open, I have to open all of them now.
Oh.
And make sure they're like off. Because if I don't, I feel like the house may burn down. So I have to do that.
That's scary.
Right?
Yeah.
But I do that even if I knew I already did it. So
Is that the OCD you were suspecting?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, 100%. Now I'm like, maybe that's it.
Because sometimes when people who are autistic say, I might be OCD, it's often, not often, it can be just like OCD type traits where that rigidity and that like overthinking can look like OCD type behaviors. But that sounds like kind of more traditional OCD.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, I thought OCD before was that you wanted to keep everything clean all the time. And so I was like, oh, well, that I don't have to have every single thing in. Well, it does have a home, but there are different things that. Yeah. But I think that, I think I'm starting to realize that maybe some of those things are. And it reminds me something you said on another podcast where you said, it's like where people will say, oh, I'm so have ADHD. And you're like, but do you really?
Yeah.
And you said something along the lines of, everybody pees, but if you are doing it 20 times a day or you're
If
doing
you're peeing blood, it's an issue.
Right?
Yeah. Or if you're
Something
peeing a million
different.
times a day. Yeah.
So I think of it like that. Everyone have a few traits,
Yeah.
but it consumes my life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like versus, I just did one thing that
I prefer it like this, or I like to have it tidy, as opposed to like I can't move on mentally until this thing is fixed.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
100%.
Mhm.
It's like I can't. So let me see. So my hair being wet, it can never be wet and touching like I can't put on clothes normally with wet hair.
Mm.
Oh, something that drives me crazy, Kirsten does, is that she can sleep. I mean, she doesn't have a lot of hair, but she can take a shower and then lay down and go to sleep. I'm like, don't get in the bed. No, you can't get in the bed.
Really?
It cannot have a wet pillow.
Is it like the germs or the sogginess?
No, it's the sensory. Yeah, that touch it. Why
And
would
even
you?
her doing it bothers you?
Oh yeah.
That's like me watching Ian eat with a big spoon. I'm like, that's the
just-
wrong spoon. That's
You
supposed to
don't
be
know what
big.
you're doing.
Yeah.
My mom said when I was a kid, she goes, you would always be like with kids, they're not playing with it. Mom, they're not playing with it correctly. They're not. They're playing with it, but they're not. She said you wanted to share, but you were like, they're not doing it right.
Yeah.
So I feel like the same thing. I just can't. That makes me so. It gives me a little bit of anxiety thinking about
You got a lot of bed rules.
wet hair.
Yeah.
Yes, I never
You
knew.
have a lot of bedtime rules.
I
yeah.
do. Yeah, just well, they seem random to other people, I'm sure. Like, if I'm gonna get in the bathtub and one of us took a shower before, we squeegee because it's like tiles.
Yeah.
But if someone doesn't do it, it makes me insane. I just can't. Can't. It just, I don't know. It feels like I can this is gonna sound interesting, but it feels like I can feel where the walls are,
Mm.
and it's
This is
just
interesting.
too close. It's
Can you
it's
tell if they don't squeegee?
Oh, you
Is
can
it just
see
like
it.
water?
You can
drops?
see it.
Judy can tell.
You can
Look
see
at her
it.
Yeah.
physically
She's-
responding
you
to
can-
thinking about it.
You can
I
You
tell?
can definitely see it. Yeah, there are just some things like that. I'm trying to think. There are a whole bunch of things like that. Yeah, they tend to be very sensory oriented, like
Mm.
something that feels different. Or obviously, it sounds easy. There are certain clothes that I can't wear. Kirsten bought me this beautiful sweater, and I looked at it and I was like, "Oh no, no!" And it was not like fuzzy or scratchy, but the thought of putting it. And every once in a while, I'd be like, "Okay, how I figured out I can wear it is if I wear a loose long sleeve underneath that's stretchy that I feel fine in,
Mm.
and I have to put it over top. As long as that thing is right in between us,
Mm.
we're okay.
Yeah.
But the moment that thing touched me, I'll be like, I gotta get out. I gotta get out right now. So yeah, I think I could go on for days.
Yeah.
They're just, and I never knew those weren't things for other people, or I
Mm.
just never thought about. I never thought about it. There's one other thing that I try to explain to people. It's interesting that sometimes I feel like if I'm not in the right place at the right time, so like at night, I'm supposed to be here. And if I'm not, it makes me uncomfortable.
Hmm.
Like, let's say everyone like after work, which I work from home now, but if everyone after work at a job was going out, and normally I would be home at that time, I would go out because it would be the right thing, and I would stay for a few minutes. I would want to leave
Mm.
because I'm not where I'm supposed to be.
Wow.
I know that. Same thing as a kid being on a bus. If for some reason I didn't take the bus that day, or I took a different route, or I walked a different way, I would have to try to like hurry up and get to where I should have been
Oh.
at that time.
Interesting.
So it's
Yeah.
a constant like, I don't know.
I mean, that's obviously, the autism and needing the structure of the plan of this is the plan. This is where I'm supposed to be. These
This
are
is
the
what
rules.
we've always done, and this is what we will
Yeah.
continue to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh,
How did no one catch that for
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Everything
How did
you
it take this
described.
long?
Well, I guess
Yeah.
the thing is I think really good at masking.
Mm.
Like I said before, even my stims, like I've just learned over the last, not even year to start to do them in front of people. Whereas before I would just be like, or
Yeah.
holding my skin on my leg or my
Mm.
hand or something that was acceptable. You said like twisting your
Oh,
hair,
I've been doing that
licking
the
something.
whole time. Yeah.
Mhm.
But I started to realize that there are certain stems I do that I would just do by myself. And I never realized that I was
Mm.
until my little one, he was in the car and he got excited and I started to do something very similar where I'd be like, and make a high pitched sound. I was like, oh, wow, I do this too. But I was
Mm.
only doing it around him.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And now also when I get anxious or something, I'm thinking about like, I'll move my like stretch and I never realized that I didn't do them in front of people.
Mm.
So I've been trying to And also, I think it also helps. I've listened to other children talk about their parent that are on TikTok or something, and they're like, it really was a big deal to see my parents STEM because then it was okay for me to do it. It wasn't abnormal in any way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I got to figure this out. And for a time, I was STEMming a lot because I was just like, I don't know, my body was just like figuring it out. Now I feel like I just do it when I need to. And, people just have to get over it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's wonderful. And that's so important to discover what your body needs. Because, we're so used to masking. I feel like there's things that I don't even do when I'm by myself because I just have so ingrained this of like, you don't do that. And it's shameful. And so,
even though you feel better after you do it.
Yes,
Right?
yeah. You're just like, no, this is socially unacceptable.
Right.
Like sometimes I'll do a classic, like autism hand flap.
I
when
was
I'm
just
by
about to
myself.
bring
I'm like,
that
this
up.
feels
I've
really
done
good.
a hand flap before by myself, and I'm like, huh. I didn't know I was capable of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you're like,
I feel like such a stereotetype, but it does feel
Right.
really good.
It feels nice. It's
Yeah.
like it's nice to do a little hand flap every once in a
Absolutely.
while.
Yeah.
And I think people like when you're doing a STEM, what's interesting is I feel like a lot, not all, but neurotypical people think like, oh, that's weird. But in reality, people who are neurodivergent have learned to self-soothe or to, what's the other word I'm looking for? To
Self-regulate?
yes. And that's like a really big thing to be able to teach your child or teach yourself.
Like you
or
should be
teach.
thankful that we're doing this. Otherwise, we'd be freaking out in
Right,
public.
right?
Yeah.
Like the kids who are at their desk with like the leg bouncing, that's like such an important stim for them so they can sit in their seat. But then I remember I was made fun of for leg. Were you?
They tell you to stop.
They're
used to
like,
tell me to stop.
why are you jiggling your leg?
You are like extreme when it comes to the leg bouncing. I think I was more just like moving all around.
Yeah.
You were like specifically a big leg
I was
bouncer.
a big leg bouncer for sure.
Still are.
Still are.
Yeah.
And it's hard because now when people said to you, stop bouncing your leg, or were you just thinking about bouncing your leg?
Yeah. And then I was also like that rejection sensitive. I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough because everybody else doesn't need to bounce their leg. And I'm the only one even though I can like clearly see like 8 boys in our class who are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
But they're like, oh, they're just like bouncing baby boys.
Yeah.
But you need to stop. You're distracting.
Right?
You were like such a quiet kid and you were not disruptive. You were not interruptive. Like, let her bounce.
No, I was
channeling her
I was
energy.
all up here.
Yeah.
It's all cerebral. I'm like in my own brain.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, go do the assignment. And I'm like, what?
Where are we? Yeah.
And they're like,
What
she just
class is
can't
this?
read.
Yeah.
No, I'm the same thing. I
Yeah.
feel like if you don't fit in, my younger sister, she had a friend that they actually were going to the school was going to put her in remedial classes.
Mhm.
And her mom was like, why? And they said, well, she's not paying attention in class. She said, but every time you call on her, she answers, right? Yes. But she wasn't, they tested her and she tested like college level reading. They said she was so bored in the class.
Yeah.
She would answer the questions, but she went right back to reading her book.
Yeah.
But when you don't perform in the way that they want you
Yes.
to, all of a sudden, oh, wow, we have to get you somewhere else. You have to get somewhere else. You're not with these kids and I don't know what to do with you.
Yeah, it's literally a performance. Like they will ignore your grades if you're doing well in the grades, but then they don't like that it looks like you're not paying attention.
Right.
They'll just judge you based on this.
Like kids who get in trouble for reading ahead, just let them read.
Right?
Yeah,
They're
I
reading.
would get in trouble for that all the time. It's like, well, if I don't, I'm going to fuck around. I'm going to sit here bored. I'm going to stare off into space. I'm going to get in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
It's like such a bad system to expect every kid to be at the same level, move at the same pace at the same time.
Absolutely.
How would that ever happen? Yeah. Well, Judy, you are so quirky.
You're so
And
quirky.
thank you for sharing those quirks.
Yes, I am.
You do have a lot of good ones.
You have a lot of good
You're
quirks.
good at
Yeah.
like analyzing yourself and thinking about what you need. Like I'm just impressed with how much you've accommodated yourself already, with the stimming thing. And it's just wonderful that you're like setting that example for your son.
I'll be honest with you that a lot of it, and I'm not saying this just to be nice, like a lot of it came from this podcast. Really being able to be like, wait a minute. I've heard the episodes that you've talked about the same thing 10 times. I'm like, oh, it's me.
Yeah.
You're talking about, it's me. So I definitely think through the podcast, I've been diagnosed for the things I have, with the exception of ADHD I already was. But autism and the auditory processing disorder and potentially, OCD all came from me listening to your podcast. So that, and like I said, it's been a ripple effect because I've had other friends that I've told about it and they're like, wait a minute, I'm what? Though at first they're like, no.
Yeah.
And then they come back, they're like, maybe I should look into
Denial's
Yep.
the first step.
Yep. That's my favorite when they
Yeah.
come back. Like Peter,
Yeah.
he denied it. My friend Peter, for months and months, he'd be like, no. And then I got a text one day. He's like, so what are the qualifications to be autistic? And I was like, yes, this is my
Got
time.
you.
I planted
you.
the seed and it's paid off.
I have a
happening.
PowerPoint right
It's
now.
happening.
We're gonna
Yes.
talk-
I'm like, well, Peter, I've been waiting for you to hit this day. Let me tell you all the traits I've noticed in you.
One of my coworkers was having trouble with his child not doing well in school. And they're like, he has all the knowledge. It's the classic. He has all the knowledge. He just doesn't want to apply himself. He never
Ugh.
seems to be paying attention. He doesn't want, he can do the work. He just doesn't want to. And I'm like, I go, this sounds exactly like ADHD. You should probably get your son tested. And obviously when people first hear that, like maybe that was a little blunt. That was on me. And they're like, no, it can't be that. It can't be that. And then, a couple months later, lo and behold, we're positive.
They're like,
Weird.
welcome.
And
You're
now
welcome.
Yeah.
well medicated and goes to therapy. And oh my goodness, now he's doing super well in school. And I'm just like, I got you.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
so
so many
satisfying.
people are afraid of their kid being a stereotype.
Yes.
And then also people are afraid to have medication for their kids.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you, at least for me, medication was the best thing ever.
Yeah.
It gave me like a little clarity, like not a little, a lot of clarity. I was able to slow down a little bit, enough to remember something or to focus on something, or
Yeah.
it gave me the control that I couldn't find before. So I always feel like, as far as medication, I mean, people know their own kids and they know themselves. And it's really, if you get on it and it doesn't work, you can come off of it or, but I definitely think there's a stigma around giving your kids medicine.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think like my Aunt Judy, my cousin has ADHD. And for the longest time, she's like, I don't want him on medicine. And I'm like, but now you're suffering through it and he's suffering through it when
Yeah.
everyone could just not suffer through anything.
Yes. And you have to think about on the flip side, okay, so you don't give your kid meds because you want to, you are worried it's bad for their brain or their bodies. What about the trauma of going through school as an undiagnosed ADHD kid? They've done that study that by sixth grade, ADHD kids hear on average of 20,000 more negative comments than their peers. Like that's a crazy number, 20,000. And so imagine all the little traumas, the CPTSD that we gather over time and how that changes our brains, So like I
You spend
understand.
your whole life trying to get out of it.
Yeah, then you got to untangle this whole thing
Right.
as opposed to like, okay, you hit, like Ian was put on Adderall at a young age and he like didn't really like it. He's not on stimulants now. He just like doesn't like stimulants. He doesn't do a lot of like energy drinks. Like I love energy drinks. I'm always seeking that fix. He doesn't care about that stuff. And so I can see why he didn't like it as a kid, but like, okay, you don't like it as a kid and then you get a little bit older, you come off it, as opposed to you go through unmedicated, you gather all these traumas and like, what's wrong with me? And then you're unpacking that your whole life. So
Right?
yeah,
And
it's a
also,
trade-off.
so you can, I think people don't realize like there are different things that work for different people. So if you got on, like myself, got on a non-stimulant, did not work for me at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Came off, got on a stimulant. Or some people just decide they try each and they don't work with it. So they do therapy. Like there are so many, but now with a diagnosis and with options is so much better than, like you said, so many of us have trauma and all this stuff to unpack when we were okay to begin with.
Yeah.
We just were not what every other student was, or some of them masking it too.
Right.
So
right.
they see what happens to you and they're like, oh, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, exactly. And when you have like all the intention to do well, especially when you're AuDHD, I feel like the autism side so craves being really good at order, being really good at following rules, being really good at structure. And so I feel like there's even an additional layer on top of, the trauma on its own of being autistic and going through a school system, but having that autistic side to crave being able to follow all these rules and then the ADHD can't follow through. That in itself is a huge shame, because it's like, it's not a matter of me not wanting to. I want to so badly. I just don't have the tools. I don't have the executive functioning. I don't have the dopamine. So it's just, so many different aspects of trauma happen to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, now that I have kind of gone off on a tangent there, should we move into informative info dumps?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that me?
Yes.
Okay.
But we have a song.
Yes. All right, Kristin,
All
hit
right.
it.
This is our info. These are our dumps. Put on your headphones, sit on your rumps. Learn about facts we really don't need. It's a hyperfocus, as you can see.
You nailed it.
Nailed it. Good thing we prepared.
Yeah. I didn't
Welcome
even
to
think about
Infodumps.
it, but that's a good one to have a guest join in because you just got to shout those words.
Yeah, that's a good guest one.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's much easier to do that part. Yeah.
You got an info dump for us.
I do.
I'm super pumped about it.
A special info dump, right? This is
Yes.
one of your special
I'm
interests.
like,
Yeah.
"Ooh."
Yeah.
Orcas.
Yay.
Orcas.
Yeah.
Where would you like me to start? Okay.
Start at the beginning.
Yeah,
What is
an
an
orca compared to like? Are they the same as killer whales?
Okay. So a killer whale is an orca technically.
Yeah.
They're not technically killer whales in the sense that
Is an orca a whale or are those different?
closer to a whale. No,
Okay.
closer to a dolphin.
Okay.
From what I read. If anyone else has anything else, they can correct me. Will not hurt.
I
my
think
feelings.
you're
you're
the
right-
expert.
you're right
yeah,
about
you're
that.
the expert in this room.
But so I guess they got I just recently looked this up. They got their name killer whale based off of, and people that hunted them a long time ago.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure of the part where I don't know if because orcas actually will come after, like, the boat that I guess recently hit one of their babies or something and killed it. And so they basically were teaching each other how to take apart the boats.
I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's so
Yeah,
bad.
I'm very pro killer whale or
Same.
pro orca right now. I think the more yachts, the better. Take them down.
Take them
right?
down.
Yeah.
They're so cool in a lot of different things, but I did not realize that. So that if you would ask me who the apex predator of the ocean is, I would say sharks.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's orcas. And actually, a lot of sharks are afraid of orcas for good reason. They're so flexible, even though how big they are, so they can move wherever. And it's so interesting that there is not a recorded instance on record where an orca has killed a person. Well, in captivity they have, but when they're not in captivity, which is if they can. If they're the apex predator, why haven't they? People swim with them and all kinds
there's
of
shark attacks.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so they
Whoa.
just don't, they said like they can sense something as small as like a quarter in the ocean. And
Whoa.
it's really like also one of the things that's fascinating is I thought, an orca is an orca and is an orca. But it's really not. It's based off of where they live. So they aren't necessarily, I'm sure there's a term for it, born with these traits of how to hunt. They're taught them by the matriarchs in their family.
Yeah.
So, and they all have such interesting like hunting practices. So one of them is they actually, and I can't remember all the places, but actually they have where they time the waves so they can come in with the wave, grab a sea lion and come out with them and get
I've
off
seen
the
that
beach.
on the BBC.
Right?
That's
yeah.
crazy.
And they to get up to them without them seeing them. Some of their dorsal fins are 7 or 8 feet
Mhm.
tall.
Oh my
So
God.
they're navigating to be able to do that. And the fact that they're thinking about that they can see that.
Yeah.
It's
Good
and then there's
self-awareness.
another one where they take stingrays and they flip them upside down, so they can eat them. I think that's similar to sharks where if you flip them a certain way or touch their nose a certain way, they'll fall asleep.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then they'll also you can see where they're teaching their young they'll grab like a seal or something and they show them. So they're practicing, like live practicing how to hunt.
It's a bad day for a sea
Right?
lion.
No, it is. But
Yeah,
I'm
but
like,
the
but I love
practice.
you, Orca.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just eat me. I don't want to be practiced
Right?
on.
I know.
And there's one that what they do is that so the matriarch is actually like directing them. And so one of them will go below a school of fish
Mhm.
and will show its belly. So the fish go to come up and they'll also
Because they think the whale's like on top of them.
I think so. And it might actually be the belly one is on top and the bubbles are below, but they'll blow bubbles. And so essentially they're rounding them into this big ball.
Whoa.
And then the matriarch will take her tail and hit the side.
Oh, shoot.
It will paralyze them
Should
and they'll
bitch
eat.
slap the
Whoa.
fish.
Right? Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's great.
Orca
That's a
slap.
shirt.
Yeah.
Bitch slap this bitch.
Wow.
But it's just amazing that finding out and that realizing that they're sentient beings, like they mourn their young.
Yeah.
And you've heard of like one of their babies that dies, obviously they would go to the bottom, but they'll hold them up for weeks at a time.
Aw.
Another thing is thinking that when they've had a family member in their pod die, that they will remember without like obviously any way to tell time or anything, will come back the same time every year in that area, in that space, and like they're mourning them. They will.
Oh, that's
We'll
wild.
have like an annual
like
memorial
this is where Grace died.
celebration. Yeah.
No.
Why'd you have to use me?
Well,
Knock
if
on
you
wood,
were a
there
whale,
You would come back to my area every year.
I would come back
Yeah.
to you. Yeah, if I had like an internal calendar where I could just sense that
You have an
like,
external calendar.
I put it on my Google calendar.
And then a reminder, be like, "Oops."
Yeah.
Sit in the yard where you died.
Yeah. Have you seen that tweet that's like one person, or maybe it's like a Tumblr post, but one person is saying elephants have a noise that specifically means like, oh shit, there are bees, run. And someone else responded like, why don't humans have a sound for that? And someone's like, we do. It's, oh shit, there are bees, run. That's our sound.
That's so cool. That leads me to one of the, I won't talk about that one today, but I do trees, a lot about trees. But yeah, I'm trying to think of like, they're just so cool. And the fact that they can hurt people and they don't,
Yeah.
in many instances, they help people. And what's really sad is that some of them get caught in fishing nets and you're thinking this being who lives to be like as old as us, if not older, and at 30 or 40 years old, we kill them they've been through the ocean and they're still alive.
Yeah.
And then a friggin' buoy thing from the ground that has a rope will kill them.
Yeah. And
Because they
just get
have to be able to
stuck.
breathe air.
Yeah.
And you're just like, wait, what?
That's
Yeah.
wild.
It's so tragic.
Why? What about those whales that like fling the seals? Like,
Yeah. Don't orcas do that?
I
Is
would
that
say,
orca?
I don't know for sure, but it sounds very much
Yeah.
like something they could do.
or maybe that's sharks.
It is orcas. I've seen
And
it.
if it's orcas, why? Do you think that they're like tenderizing their food?
I think probably just to practice hunting. It seems like, at least the only ones I've seen. I'd have to look it up.
Yeah,
But
'cause
I
those
feel
things get
like
airborne.
Yeah, they're
the ones
flinging
that
them.
come up and jump, though, are probably sharks. The ones that jump out of the water, grab them.
Yeah.
Or something. I think that's just the sheer force. I could be
Do
wrong.
orcas eat sharks?
I would think so. I'd have to look. Oh my
Yeah, what do
gosh.
they do? What do they do to them? Like, what do they do to sharks that make sharks so scared of them?
I think just like ramming
Ramming
them
them?
and
Yeah.
like it's just so intense. They're so and they can manipulate themselves so well. Like for such a huge animal, they can turn in so many different ways. They're so what's what I'm looking for? Not flexible, but maybe dexterous. I don't know.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
yeah, they I
Agile.
think, and they're so intelligent.
Mm.
So I think that's probably pretty scary. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing like a smart villain. you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it's in Planet Earth or where I saw it, but there's footage of them also like in the Arctic coming up with a group plan to swamp what's it called? Like a floating chunk of ice, and there's one seal on the ice. Have you seen that video?
Oh,
No.
Where they
but-
kind of come up,
They
three
like
of them together.
capsize it.
Yeah, and they all push the water so it like floods the ice and pushes the seal into the water, and then they get them. So they have like this
wild?
orchestrated plan.
They're chatting. They're like, okay, on 3, guys.
Yeah, we all go. We make this big wave. It
I go, then
pushes
you
them into the
go.
water. Yeah,
And then
they're
we
so
get 'em.
intelligent.
It's amazing.
Terrifying.
And that just
Yeah.
adds another layer to people thinking, oh, we can just kill them. We can just, kill stuff in the ocean, or
Yeah.
we can still, just hunt them because they're beings that, feel and mourn and, show joy and all these different emotions.
Yeah.
I was watching, it might have been on the same thing where this diver you have someone videoing the diver who's actually taking the pictures.
Mhm.
And at one point you could see the orca take like a part of a stingray that he had got and went up to the diver and like kind of threw it to him. You could tell almost like, do you want some?
Yeah.
And he said for a while, the orca's looking at him and looking at the food. And then it was kind of like, if you're not going to eat that, I will.
Yeah.
Like, if you're not going to, I'm
You're
going
not
to.
hungry? Yeah.
And so it just seemed really like the guy said that the photographer said it felt like they were trying to like bring me in.
Yeah.
And so I just thought
interesting.
it's so amazing for something so powerful, something in their element,
Mhm.
could easily do whatever they want
Mhm.
and they choose not to.
Yeah.
And that is amazing.
Yeah.
That's just so amazing. All these stereotypes we think about, the animals, but it's also the same thing with sharks, and that's a whole nother tangent. But
Mhm.
that I know, I just will say one thing about sharks is that a woman I follow, she swims with sharks all the time. She's a biologist, I guess a marine biologist. And she talks about all the time. Like, but you have to, she said, you have to give them the respect that that a predator has, like that a predator should get. And she shows like, I don't just swim with them. Like there are certain steps you take, being aware of things that, tell them, hey, you're ready to be like you're hurt or something, all these little things. And she's like, if you show them the respect, they're not trying to eat you.
Yeah.
Like that's not what they're going for.
Yeah.
So I just think it's about orcas anyways, just think it's so amazing that such a large, fantastic animal could be so gentle with us when they could just be like, you're out of here.
Yeah, they don't
Except
have
for
to
the
be.
super
right?
yachts.
And they also don't take any shit, right?
Yeah.
They'll take a damn.
They're like, eat the rich.
Eat the rich.
Yeah.
Hell
they're-
yes. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Take this
Take
yacht
them
down.
down.
Yeah. It also shows how much we mess them up by putting them in captivity. The fact that the only times humans have been killed by orcas is in captivity.
Right.
Shows just how much we friggin'
Probably
traumatize
shouldn't
I'm
them.
surprised they don't kill them sooner, to be honest. I mean, I
Honestly.
can't imagine. How do you take something that has thousands and thousands and thousands of miles to swim in and you put them, and they're meant to be in pods, you know,
Yes.
and you
Right.
put them in this small little tank,
Yes.
and I'm sure that you like force impregnate them or
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
inseminate them, and they said like the dorsal fins only fall in captivity.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna be like,
that
so you
can't
just
be good.
basically broken their spirit and their soul,
Yes.
and then you're like, could you do some tricks?
What are their
for us?"
dorsal
Yeah.
fins
Jump.
filled with?
I don't know.
Joy.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, that would be
Leave
perfect.
them, yeah.
That would make perfect sense.
Yeah.
I have no
Good.
clue.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'll have to look that up.
Maybe just
Another-
cartilage.
Yeah, I
Maybe
don't know.
cartilage.
And
Does
why
it
would
break down?
Why does
in-
it break down when
captivity?
they're in captivity?
Yeah, maybe it just like
Oh my
weakens like
gosh.
a muscle. You can look it up.
I have to
Do a-
definitely look it up.
Cue the music.
I'll do that.
Do-do. That's not our music.
That's not our music.
Do, 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 do. That's what it is.
Why do orcas' fins bend in captivity? And then maybe it'll tell us what's in it. By answering the question, we can look at the issue of how captivity. Okay, we don't have time for all that.
Yeah.
We
Learning
just want to
backstory.
know
Just-
what it.
Was this a
Real
recipe
quick-
blog?
yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh.
Just tell
First,
me.
let me tell you the origin
Yeah.
of the way
Oh.
name.
I used to bake muffins with my grandma. Well, what they theorize on last podcast on the left, because they're doing a two-parter right now.
Yeah, it's pretty sad if you
SeaWorld.
want to have a
yeah.
bummer.
Yeah,
But-
weren't they supposed to have like whatever the last whale they had was living out its life or something? Because I would assume if they're born in captivity,
Yeah.
Yeah, they stopped breeding them in captivity.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They
Tillicum
stopped-
killed like 3 people.
Yeah.
But I think Eddie was speculating that they maybe call them killer whales still to kind of make it seem a bit more justified that they're like keeping them in these
These,
containers.
like, dangerous animals.
Yeah, we've captured
Very
these
Jurassic
things.
Park-esque.
you're like,
Yeah, the
and
killer
if they're
whales.
so horrible, we have two, like, or however many, like, there's a whole ocean.
Yeah,
Well, not a whole, but
But yeah, that podcast, that was tough to
Yeah.
listen to.
I know. Talking about like when they captured Tillicum as a calf and how
Oh my God. I
the
was
whole
like,
pod like followed after the boat, and
Yeah,
the
the
mom followed the
mom-
longest, and they cry for months
yeah.
after their
it's
babies are
really-
taken, and they get louder over time because they're trying to reach a further distance.
Yeah.
But they're, like
Ugh.
in these little tanks.
It was a really good 2-part series.
I know. I was
It was
impressed.
really
I was
sad.
proud of Eddie. He
Yeah.
did a good job.
He did
well, I
do a
know
good
that
job.
Blackfish one. I can't watch. I haven't
I
watched
I haven't
it.
watched Blackfish.
I watched it. Yeah,
Was
it
it
That was going to be my
horrible?
next
Gutting.
question.
Yeah.
Your favorite movie involving killer whales or orcas? I was going to say Free Willy.
Yeah,
Dun,
Yeah,
dun,
I would say.
dun, 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 dun.
But the whale, was that Tillicum in that?
I think it was like Tillicum's dad, and that guy eventually they released him, and then he just was like he wasn't like welcomed because he was born in captivity.
Oh yeah,
He
But
wasn't
people-
welcomed by the
by the pods.
pods.
Yeah, he lived
and
the
then
rest of his life lonely.
but some of
yeah.
them adopt. I feel like because I was watching one that adopted
that
a
guy.
male, and they said you could tell because they were still trying to teach him because he didn't know how to hunt like they did.
Mm.
So is that in real life that they didn't
You
Yeah.
gotta
That it
listen to
lived
this
by its life
podcast. But
forever?
basically,
Yeah.
the
sorry.
after Free
No, that's
Willy,
okay.
everybody was like, we have to like legit Free Willy.
Yeah, because they put him back in his
in his
container.
little,
You're like,
in
we
his-
just did a movie about this. How horrible.
Yeah.
of freeing
So-
the orca.
So
and
people
then,
like put a petition together to get
and
him
so
released.
and then they did, so they were able to free
They
him.
freed Willie. Yeah.
Yeah, but he died alone and depressed because
Oh my
He
gosh.
died a lonely man.
it's a really good podcast. It's very informational, but it's very like orca death heavy. So it might not be
Yeah.
like the most uplifting one, but yeah, it's criminal what SeaWorld and those places are doing.
Yeah.
Wow,
It's monstrous.
that's-
Yeah,
Well,
you
I've heard
shouldn't
even
take
with the
like a
dolphins, they do
2-ton
that.
animal that's supposed to roam the ocean and put them in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Right? I've
Yeah.
heard that about dolphins, that they like force inseminate them and all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
And you're
I
like,
just-
what
oh
is
my
going on?
God.
Yeah.
And then they give you, I feel bad because when I was a kid, really young, they took me to SeaWorld. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
and now you look at it, well,
Yeah.
people say, can we go to the aquarium? No, I'm not going.
Yeah.
You can go, I'm not going. I feel horrible.
I
like-
don't want to watch an animal perform for me. Like, I don't want to watch an
Yeah.
animal do tricks for me because it's like, what
I
did it
just
take
wanna
to get
see
you to do those
them-
tricks?
Oh, yeah. No,
Mm.
we're not going to feed you until you like do
Yeah.
this.
And
Or
that's what they would do to the whales. They would starve them, so then they would really want to perform at SeaWorld
For
and do
dead
these
fish.
tricks.
Yeah.
For dead fish.
It's a really
oh,
good
yeah,
podcast.
I didn't even think about
Yeah.
that. Rather than like just dumping a whole bunch of live fish so they could
Yeah.
at least hunt.
yes,
yeah.
it has something to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they would all die from bacterial pneumonia.
Yeah, which doesn't happen to them in the wild. It
Mhm.
only happens to them in captivity.
You know, that's interesting. Someone said to me recently, and I need to look it up, said that they were looking into the fact that animals in nature, and I don't know if it's free, but it was an interesting thought, is that they said that they don't develop cancers and all like
Interesting.
animals, dogs and cats and all
Yeah.
that. And I was like, wait, what? And I think like it's based off, because we feed them processed food every day,
Mm.
the same thing. But it was really an interesting, like, wait, what?
Yeah,
Oh,
Mm.
like
it is
I
interesting.
never thought about that.
Yeah, I hadn't either. But also, would you know if a monkey had
Yeah,
cancer?
that's the
you know?
thing. Would you know, or would they just kind of die mysteriously, or would they die from like being eaten by something else? You know?
Mm,
Oh, I
'cause
don't
it's
know.
weakened.
Maybe
Yeah.
it's the ages based
Yeah.
off of like, I don't know.
Because if there's like a monkey in the wild, how would you know it has cancer?
Oh, that's Jane Goodall.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah.
she would tell you.
I
Yeah,
feel
Jane knows.
Do you know that she had that where you can't recognize people's faces?
Oh, really?
What's it called? Where
Facial blindness.
there
Yeah.
she had that.
Wow.
She
Oh, I
said
did
it
know
even.
that.
She said
Yeah.
it even happened with the monkeys. Like I
Yeah.
guess maybe their characteristics and whatnot she could recognize.
Yeah.
But yeah, she said
That
I
to
think
me
that's
is wild.
wild.
so wild. Then you really have to pick up. That's where the people I think
Mm.
miss that neurodivergent people a lot of times. I may not understand what you're trying to say to me through your words, but I can normally tell with your body, like maybe something's wrong.
Mhm.
Mm.
So, and that's also a hard thing, I feel like, for your mental health or mine, is because I hear what you're saying, but it doesn't match what your body's
Yes.
doing.
Mhm.
And so many times I had a teacher, a college professor once point out, they were like, if you watch people's body language, sometimes they'll say yes, but they'll go like this,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
And they'll shake their head no. And you're like, what are you
I
doing?
noticed that on Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Sometimes when they say yes to each other, they'll be shaking their heads. No,
Right?
yeah. I'm like, there. But I
we
think,
know what you're doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think it gets us in trouble because we see stuff people don't want us to see.
Oh,
so
yeah.
so we are socially inappropriate because they're saying one thing, but they're physically showing another thing, and we pick up on what they're trying to keep secret, and that everyone else is playing the social game of just listening to these surface level words, and then we notice those things, and then they're like, "Why are you such a freak?"
You're telling all my secrets.
Yeah, so they
You're
don't like
noticing
us.
everything.
Yeah.
It looks like that. All I can see is muscle, but I don't know that that's true.
Mm.
But I'm going to look into it because now I'm super invested.
You know
We'll
what?
get
You
back-
get back to us, and
yeah.
we'll talk about it on a bagel,
On a bagel bite,
Absolutely.
because we
yeah.
want you to be able to dive in, do your orca research, and now you got a little orca assignment.
Now
I'm
you
so
got-
Isn't that nice?
An orca assignment. That's so cool.
Yes.
I'm going to go home and I'm like, guess what I got? What? A kazoo and an orca assignment.
What else could you ask for? Yeah.
Kirsten's gonna be like, oh my
Best
god.
day
Yeah,
ever.
you're never hanging out with them
Yeah,
again.
we're not allowed to hang out anymore.
You're coming home with loud instruments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Be up all night.
All right. Well,
right.
Judy, thank you for sharing that informative info dump on orcas. It is about time for alternative segments. Alternative.
Segments. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite part.
I'm glad you're so excited about it.
I can't tell you how many times I've like played that back over
Yeah.
and over.
Wow. That's great
Now
feedback.
Kirsten's really never going to let us hang out again.
Yeah.
She said, we've heard it 100 times. Could you please stop? I can do it.
Yeah, I'm sure she knows more about us than she ever wanted to know. All right. On this week's alternative segments, we're doing a guest favorite. How did no one catch this? So, Judy, tell us, please, something that you noticed from your childhood where looking back, it's like, how did no one catch this ADHD, the autism, that something was going on? How did no one catch this?
I think, well, the fact that I didn't talk till I was in complete sentences that people could understand until about 5.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
That's
and
a
then my
big
mom was
delay.
like 4, maybe 5. And I was like, whoa, hello. Good information to know.
It's like clinically significant. Yeah.
For my vague understanding, when do kids start talking?
This is always interesting. And I have a kid. Maybe like 1, 2. I mean, they're
Okay.
starting to talk very, like my little one, he started talking early,
Mhm.
but I didn't realize till later, like he was just repeating a lot of things we were saying. So a lot of echolalia and parts from movies and phrases and songs. And it's really interesting because people will say kids don't talk. They're not talking. It's just echolalia. And you're like, but they're saying whole sentences.
Yeah.
Like whole sentences. So
Mhm.
the idea of they can't talk is really not correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say around like 2 is when they'll start to.
Oh,
Kids-
yes.
kids who are.
You know.
I mean, you have a kid though, you know?
Yeah.
We're both autistic though. So
Yeah, true. Yeah. Don't have a good frame of reference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say around 2 is when, and by 3, kids are like pretty much, they're obviously going to develop more and more language as they grow up. But by the age of 3, kids should pretty much be like putting their own sentences together. And if they're not, then yeah, something's going on. And we just talked a little bit about that Gestalt processing and how, yeah, sometimes little kids who are autistic, they do have, maybe they're just repeating these phrases, or it seems like they're just repeating stuff they've heard on TV. It's just echolalia, but to them, those phrases have, they have communication significance and that they are communicating something. Just if you don't know about that phrase and that they're using it, it might just sound like echolalia, but they do have meaning behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like a lot of people don't respect those different types of communication in a little kid.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
we were talking about earlier, I definitely think I started to notice with Sebastian where he would say specific phrases at specific times. And I was like, wait a minute, is he trying to say? So for instance, something as small as like I used to say when he would start to cry, I would say, oh no, what's wrong? Or, oh no, are you okay? And so every time something bothered him, he'd go, oh no, are you okay? And people would say to him, like they would respond as if he was asking them. And I'm like, no, he's trying to tell you
that's a
that
Gestalt,
something's wrong.
That right
Yeah.
there is a Gestalt process. That's a Gestalt phrase where he's using it to communicate a different meaning, but to him it has a very specific meaning. He's not just saying it. To him, it means I am heard because that's what he is hearing.
And I think
So
that's
interesting.
friggin' genius
Yes.
because
Yeah.
like everyone else, you ask and they respond. But as a child or an adult that can't necessarily do that, you go back into your memory and it's like you're going through, okay, what's the closest? Oh, this one is. And so you use that. And I think like how much intelligence that takes to be able to work through that whole process, especially at such a young age.
Yeah.
And come back with, oh, this is what is closest to what I'm trying to say
this
to you.
represents that. Yeah. It's like they're kind of coming up with their own language. Like they're coding these phrases and sentences to have full meanings. Yeah.
So they are actually talking and responding where people are like, oh, they're not communicating in your style.
Yes.
But doesn't mean that it's not well thought out because they're doing it. Especially at such a young age. It's just unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. And I talk about this in our Gestalt episode, but it can be both like, it can cause adults to give the kids not enough credit for communication and also too much credit sometimes. And both can be, they can affect the child. But like if a kid has this big long phrase that he's taken from a show and he uses that phrase to have this meaning, but he doesn't actually know what those big words mean. Like in the example to infinity and beyond, sounds like, oh my God, this kid has all this knowledge and these language, but he doesn't know what infinity means. He doesn't know what beyond means. Like he couldn't actually understand these words at a singular level. And so I feel like either way, our misunderstanding of those Gestalt language processes can really like hinder this child's development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do think sometimes with any type of neurodivergency, people it's like this, you're either not like don't understand anything and that somehow lacking in intelligence, which we know is not true, or you're this genius, like we were talking about before, like, or you're savant of some kind.
Yeah.
It's like there's no middle ground.
Yeah.
I feel like people said that with when I was like, it's okay. Family members or friends, it's okay that Sebastian is autistic. Like there's nothing wrong with being autistic. And they would come back like, oh yeah, there's some kid, and they would bring up these examples of genius. I was like, that's a high bar to set for a small kid.
Yes.
Like, and that brings its own things.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really interesting how stereotypical people think that they should respond to you. And you're just like, maybe they're just a kid.
Yeah, maybe they're just
Right.
a person.
Right?
Yeah, they don't need to have these extremes. They're just a person.
Right?
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing how to know and catch this on Alternative Segments.
Alternative segment.
All right. As we are winding this episode down, we are headed full steam ahead to the train station. But first, what is that? A whiff of, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
A double train. The horse is riding like roller skates. Two trains at once.
Right off the
Yeah. I see he's getting a whiff of that pizza, and I think it's time to stop at the old pizza shop and have a slice because it's time for Pizza Secrets. You brought that full circle.
Right? Yeah, you,
Nice
you
and
nailed
smooth.
it. Yeah, that was great. That was
Improv. All right, Judy, I'm sure you know the Pizza Secret song.
Yeah. We'll see if I can.
Pizza secrets.
Tell me your secret.
Give us your secret. Or is
Tell
it tell me your secrets?
You don't know the
I don't know the song.
Give us your
Oh, I
secret.
got a favorite. No, if I'm,
Yeah,
if
no, I
you're
gotta
not,
go.
then I'm definitely
I
not
gotta
sure. Let
Tell me
let-
your secrets.
Tell me your secrets.
Pizza Secrets.
Gosh, now I definitely have to.
That's it.
Okay, got it.
Pizza
Right there.
Secrets. Tell me your secrets. Pizza Secrets.
Yeah.
I just need that.
We're lyricists.
Yeah. Okay. We are.
Pizza secrets. Tell me your secrets. Pizza secrets.
Oh yeah.
Pizza secrets.
God, we gotta bring you
my
down here
God.
more
You're like,
often. You were
Yeah,
just-
I know. Jude, we gotta have you be
delight.
a repeat guest.
I know. You're so enamored with all our stupid fucking segments.
Well, it's so cool because they're all things that I openly laugh in the car and replay them and sing them. And then it's just so cool to be here with you. Like you do. I'm just like, this is so much better.
We're honored to have you here with us. All right, Judy, I'm sure the audience has been dying to get to this segment and they really want to hear your pizza secret. So please share that shitty little thing you've done.
Okay, so I was thinking about this. I was like, do I have any? But I do. I backed my mom's car into her friend's car. And Kathy, if you're listening, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Kathy.
I was in a rush or whatever, and she had parked, I don't know, maybe it wasn't my fault. We won't say it was hers, but she parked kind of behind mom a little bit, and I backed up and I slammed into her car. And so I got out and I was looking, I was like, okay, is the paint on there? And my mom even was like, no, it looks good. Just leave it.
So you both work together to deceive
Well,
Kathy?
sometimes, yes. Sometimes.
Did she ever find out?
No.
No.
Hopefully she doesn't listen
Sorry,
to this podcast.
Kathy, if you're listening.
No harm,
Hey,
no,
no harm,
damage.
yeah.
You're
You
fine.
probably have a different car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pizza secrets.
I've bumped a few cars with
Yeah.
my car and back in the day, the old Boston bump.
My brother, the first time he met his now in-laws, his father-in-law I think he meant to go forwards, but went back with his ATV and just smushed the whole back of my brother's truck.
Oh my God.
Day one. He's like, no, everything's fine.
Yeah, you can't even get mad.
Yeah, he can't. He's like, it's fine. I'm gonna make a call to the insurance company, and he like immediately called my dad. He's like, Dad, what do I do?
Wow. You know, that reminds me of,
terrible.
now that you said, why is this always cars, Judy?
Yeah.
I remember I had a rental. Someone hit me and I had a rental and I let someone drive it that I wasn't supposed to because they gave me a lot of crap. So I let them drive it. This wasn't Kirsten. And they backed into something and I ended up having to I brought it back late because I had to work with the local career and technology center in South Carolina to fix the bumper, to fix everything. And I brought it back and I'm like, I'm so sorry it was late. I was like, please don't know, please. But we couldn't fix the light. That wouldn't come in quick enough. So I ended up paying for the light. But I was like, what the hell?
Oh my God.
I never told them we broke everything else. But technically they got something new.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're welcome, rental company.
So you pulled it off. So really, that's like a success story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so
God, when I lived in
funny.
Boston, I visited my, at the time, friend Caleb's car to go to New Hampshire for a grad school interview. And he was very particular about his car.
Yeah.
He really, he works for Tesla now, I think. He really cared about his car. I was like, I'll be careful.
Why did you?
Because I needed to go to New Hampshire.
Why
I had to go to
he
UNH.
let you borrow that?
I don't know. That was stupid on
That
his
was a
part.
bad
That was
decision.
Is it really
on
your
his
fault
part.
then?
right? He should have known better. But I was driving around this big curve. I went to adjust the mirror and I barely touch it. The mirror fell off.
Oh no!
And I was like, oh shit. And as I'm trying to fix it, I hit the curb a little bit and hit the hubcap and scratched the shit out of his hubcap. And he had special painted it. He was he's that type of guy.
You should have never took that as a disaster.
Within 3 seconds, I pulled his mirror down and then smashed his hubcap into the
I'd be like, your mirror started it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
why
this
is your
when I
mirror
got
falling
it?
off so
Yeah.
easily? And I get back home and give him the car. He immediately does a full loop around the car to inspect it. And he's like, what is this? I'm like,
That was there when I got it.
there. I don't know.
How'd you get the mirror back up?
I think I was able to get it in there. I think I ended up telling him about the mirror because I
hot
didn't,
glue gun out.
yeah,
right now.
I didn't break it. It was just on, when it's on the ball and it just it popped out of its socket. And so I think I was able to get it back in there, but the hubcap was not able to get away with that. I ended up splitting. It cost $300 to get it repainted because he had had the whole thing custom
I'd be
painted.
like, just know that I would have hid it from you if I could have.
Yeah, man, I tried. You should hear about the mirror.
You're like, mirror. You'd be like, what mirror?
Nothing. No, nothing.
What are we talking about?
Yeah. Well, ADHDers do
God.
have, a much harder time with driving. So it's not our fault. It's a known thing that we are more likely to get in car accidents. So
Every time when we were looking for houses, I was not allowed to. We tried our best to have Christopher drive on the way there because I'm looking at houses. I'm one hand on the wheel,
You
one
scare
hand.
me as a
I
driver.
just could not pay. I'm like, look at the house. The house is for sale too. I wonder if they have a. Christopher's like, the road, not
remember
the houses.
you're driving. Yeah. It's you forget you're
we
driving.
don't care about the roof. We care about the road.
We're in the yard.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do scare me.
Yeah. No, I know I'm not a good driver.
I feel like I'm
I can get
hyper
there.
vigilant because Kirsten is a sightseer.
Mm.
So she'll say, Judy, look at this. And I'm like, I turn to look and I'm looking at the back of your head and you're driving. So you're giving me anxiety. I'm just looking straight. Could we die if I fall asleep in the car? Are we going to be okay? She likes to sightsee. So I think I'm hyper vigilant because of that. But I definitely, our car now, I call it our space car. We had older cars and finally our truck died. And so this is the first time we've ever had a vehicle that had a backup camera and all these different things. And I'm like, I feel like this is not good for me. The backup camera is nice. Just if I'm going to back into something, you let me know. That I'm good with. But I'm trying to mess with the radio and trying to figure out why it keeps going through my phone. And I've turned off Bluetooth. Why is it still connecting? And I'm
annoying.
I'm definitely going to have a wreck because I'm just there's more screens.
Yeah, it's too
and
much
so
going
now
on.
I'm trying to look at my phone, trying to look at here, and I'm talking to it. And I'm like, what's happening?
It's don't worry, it's hands free, but you're going to be very distracted on the road.
Yeah. I think I'm totally and what's crazy is if you turn it off, I don't know if this is ever, when you turn it off, if I touch phone, it turns back on. I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll be listening to my phone with my headphones, and then I get in the car, and then it like connects to the Bluetooth, but then it's
Mhm.
not playing.
You're like, if I wanted to do that, I would have done it.
Yes.
Like, I don't.
It really triggers
So I
me.
definitely
It
think
upsets
with
me.
this vehicle, I probably need to be really careful.
Yeah.
I think
Hey,
one of my
being aware is the most important thing, you know?
There's so many distractions with the new vehicle.
yeah,
Yeah.
Many.
it's a lot. One of my worst traits, I think, is when I'm a passenger princess and we're like at a stoplight and Christopher's trying to look both ways. I look too. And I
You're
like, he's like,
blocking
your
the way.
head is right there. I go, where? There's no cars coming. And he's like, I can't see anything. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I lean back and then he leans forward. I lean forward again.
Oh my God.
He's like, it happens every time. I like can't. It's such a force of habit. Is that one? Force of habit. That's a real.
Yeah.
Okay.
you got it, yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Woo!
All right. We'll end it on
Nailed
that
it,
note.
yeah.
Kristin successfully said an idiom, and we'll end it there.
Yeah.
Judy, thank you
Thank you so much, Judy.
for joining
This has been
us.
lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you for having
This
me.
won't be the last time you hear from Judy.
Yes.
Yeah. Especially
for
if you go for the OCD diagnosis and everything.
Yeah.
Like, we'd love to hear your updates.
Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we'll do a whole series on OCD like we did depression and everything.
Yeah, because
We could do
Emily,
that.
our friend Emily, also wanted to come on, and she has
Yeah,
diagnosed OCD, and she
let's
wanted
do
to talk about
that.
it as well.
Oh,
So let's
that
do a
would
whole
be-
OCD series.
Yeah.
Super cool.
That'd
I
be
think people
wonderful.
have so many stereotypes about
Mhm.
OCD
Yeah.
that it really, that would be super cool.
Yeah, we
that
love
would be
that.
really nice.
Yeah,
And,
you can check out Judy's art. We'll put the link in the show notes. Check her out on Instagram. Listen to part 1. Look out for more stuff from Judy.
You can find us on Instagram at Weird as a Feather. You can find us. We have a Facebook group where we post things sometimes. And you
Great.
can go to our website where we have merch at weirdsofafeather.com. You can also follow us on Patreon. We're going to have
Yeah.
some episodes coming up on NDTV where Grace and Christopher talk about neurodivergent TV characters.
$5 a month.
Yeah, well, we have different tiers too.
Well, that one's under the $5
That
a
one's
month.
under the $5 one. I don't know.
$10. I don't know. We'll
No,
see.
who knows?
Mhm. We might do like live watch-alongs for certain
Yeah.
episodes. I feel like that would be fun.
That would be really cool.
fun.
The $10 tier.
Mhm.
That's what Page 7 does. We're like every Thursday night, if you're in the $10 tier, you get to like do a live
Oh,
watch-along. So
cool.
we could do something like
and
that.
do they ask
Yeah.
like Q&A questions?
I think like on Discord where people can chat with
Yeah.
you and
Oh,
everything.
cool.
Yeah,
That's
and then
really
people could-
fun.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds like a good idea. Yeah, so come check us out on Patreon.
Patreon, and then you can always follow, and subscribe. You can tell your friends about us. You can buy us a coffee at ko-fi.com/weirdsofafeather. Yeah, and you can follow us on all the socials because we are here. Once again, Judy, cannot thank you enough for coming on. This has been lovely.
Yes,
It's been a
you were
lovely
wonderful.
day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're
You're
like,
like, let's squawk on out of
yeah,
here.
squawking. You got one more squawk, Judy? Yeah. You got it.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, that's a good one. That's a good
Nice
some
and
owls,
gentle,
some mourning
yeah.
doves.
Maybe like.
Yeah. Okay, see ya. Bye.